A 27-year-old man has been identified as the city's latest homicide victim after being gunned down just steps from his North York home. Officers say they don't believe the man was specifically targeted. The surrounding community now on edge. Good evening. The gunshots rang out near Shepherd and Jane just after 10 p.m. last night. Investigators say the victim was returning home when he was fatally shot.
Police now on the hunt for 3 suspects who were last seen fleeing in a dark-colored vehicle. CTV's Beth McDonnell joins us now from the scene with more. Beth.
Andrea and Rahim, we know several shots were fired. Some area residents told me it sounded like 5 or 6 shots. Other residents told me it sounded like a lot more than that. Police are calling this man's death deeply troubling. The shooting happened just steps from his home. There's a bullet hole in a window and up to 18 evidence markers can be seen scattered in front of the housing complex. It's the place a 27-year-old man was shot and killed outside next to his home, identified by Toronto police as Hussein Elmi.
Feeling bad because it could be my son, so I feel very bad about it. And I wish all these things do not happen here anymore. I hope for it not to. So, my condolences to the parents.
Officers responded shortly after 10 Friday night to reports of gunshots on Magellan Drive. That's near Shepherd Avenue West and Jane Street in North York. The man was located with gunshot wounds and was rushed to hospital but did not survive.
The vehicle pulled up. The suspects were out on foot when the incident occurred.
Now the search is on for 3 people who police say fled in a dark-colored vehicle. Adding the investigation so far shows the shooting was not targeted and there was no previous connection between the man and his assailants.
By all accounts, this gentleman was steps from his home. He was returning home. I have no indication whatsoever that he had any interaction with the suspects at this point in time. This gentleman tragically was almost home.
There is fear in the community. Several people who did not want to appear on camera told CTV News in recent weeks there have been people in the area firing guns. Police confirmed 1 incident of gunfire about a week ago, now being looked into by the Guns and Gangs Task Force, but say it's too early to make any link with this fatal shooting.
We did increase our patrols. In fact, we've brought officers in on overtime all year, and we have our public safety response team who's been giving us extra attention.
Police have not said how many of the 3 suspects were carrying guns, and the motive behind the attack is not clear. While they say video evidence has been reviewed, more help is needed to track down the suspects.
This poor family, I mean, this is unconscionable. There are people out there that do know who did this, who pulled that trigger, and I would ask you, please contact us right away so we can make our community feel safe.
This is Toronto's 11th homicide of 2026. And again, police are looking for 3 suspects who fled in a dark-colored vehicle. Anyone with information is asked to contact police or anonymously to Crime Stoppers. Reporting live, I'm Beth McDonnell. Rahim and Andrea, back to you.
Thank you, Beth. Another shooting in the East End overnight has left a man with life-threatening injuries. This shooting happened just after 9 near Greenwood and Walpole Avenues. Police found a man in his 30s with gunshot wounds. He was rushed to hospital in critical condition. There has been no word on any suspects and the investigation is ongoing. And police are also investigating after shots were fired in the Steeles and Kennedy Road area last night. This was before 9:30. There were reports of gunshots and police found shell cases, but no injuries were reported. Anyone with information is asked to contact police.
Peel police are investigating after a military artifact was found in the backyard of a home. The object was found at a home near Elmwood Avenue in Lakeshore. Police say preliminary assessment suggests it is a smoke device that would not produce shrapnel. However, out of an abundance of caution, residents in the immediate area were advised to either shelter in place or evacuate while the explosives unit safely disposed of the device. And emergency crews are on the scene of a tanker truck rollover at Billy Bishop Airport this afternoon. Fire officials say the truck was leaking a small amount of fuel, but it has been contained. Hazmat crews have been called in for cleanup, and the cause of the incident is still under investigation. No injuries were reported. The airport says the incident is having a moderate impact to operations near gates 1 and 2 as they remain closed for cleanup.
A man is fighting for his life after being struck by a vehicle in a Scarborough parking lot last night. The victim was struck while he was walking through the parking lot around 10:30 near Kingston Road and Lawrence East. He was rushed to hospital with life-threatening injuries. The 52-year-old male driver remained at the scene. There has been no word on any possible charges as police continue to investigate what led to the crash. And a woman suffered serious injuries after being struck by a vehicle in Bloor Court Village. It happened just before 3 this morning in the area of Bloor and Ossington. The pedestrian was taken to hospital via emergency run. Police say the injuries are now listed as non-life-threatening. The driver did also remain on scene, and there has been no word on possible charges.
A major downtown hotel was briefly evacuated after an early morning fire. Crews were called to the Fairmont Royal York Hotel just before 6. They responded to a fire reported inside a laundry chute. The fire was quickly put out and no one was hurt. Guests were allowed back in their rooms a short time later. Well, for the first time ever, hundreds of people were able to get a behind-the-scenes tour inside the Daily Bread Food Bank today.
The unique experience is an opportunity to see donations at work and the manpower it takes to support people facing food insecurity. Stirring pounds of broccoli into this massive container of soup. This is a look inside the Daily Bread Food Bank kitchen, showing the public how food gets to families in need across Toronto.
We have to keep a few things in mind. The cost is very important. So we want to make sure that we're using ingredients that are seasonal and that we're running certain recipes at certain times of the year and not at others.
Chef Greenberg says the kitchen produces 5,000 to 7,000 meals a week, leaning heavily on soups and casseroles. This open house is pulling back the curtain on the work that goes into supporting the 1 of every 10 people in the city who now rely on food banks.
I've heard that the food bank is really good in communities to give back to the people that aren't as fortunate, and it just makes me really happy that I'm able to contribute and do something better for them.
I wanted them to see what happens in the background at facilities like this, how the community gives back. That's the main thing. And basically, it's gratitude, what we have and what others don't. I just want them to realize things don't easily land on a table.
Through a network of more than 200 programs and its distribution hub in Etobicoke, the food bank is constantly an active workspace. And a big part of it is sorting food that has been donated into these large yellow boxes, often seen at grocery stores.
They come into the warehouse and then we, on a daily basis, go through, unpack everything from there, put it on the table, and get it packed into the right boxes so that it can then be shipped out to our food banks across the city. According to the food bank, 53% of its clients have missed a meal to pay for something else. An eye-opening statistic for those visiting the organization's first ever open house.
People are suffering in many ways. It's not always their fault, but just came out to see what's happening and how we can make a difference maybe.
I've donated to it many times, and that's why I'm here. I want to see how it operates and what exactly you do and what's what, because I may be interested in being more active in this.
The need for the Daily Bread Food Bank has increased exponentially in Toronto, now serving more than 300,000 people every single month. The best way to bring that number down, says its CEO, is through policy change.
The new thing that we're going after the Canada Disability Benefit is we want to make rent that you pay a tax deductible, and that will help a tremendous number of low-income families.
Calling for change at all 3 levels of government to end poverty and hunger. Community members gathered for a rally and concert this afternoon, speaking out against the pending closure of more supervised drug consumption sites as the province cuts off funding.
Stay open, stay alive!
The event, titled Stay Open, Stay Alive, took over Metropolitan United Church. Harm reduction advocates and supporters called out the province's move to shut the doors of those supervised consumption facilities that it still funds, including 2 here in Toronto.
The 2 sites, the Moss Park Consumption and Treatment Service and Fred Victor, are 2 of the highest volume sites in the entire city, especially following the closure of the works. So we are talking about hundreds of visitors a day that won't have access to a supervised place to use drugs out of the public eye. So what's going to happen? Not sure. We're going to find out real soon.
We have seen and we see daily what's happening on the streetcars, in subways in the city. And Those are people who need health services, not policing services. So that's why I call it inhumane. And also the fact that the policy changes will create preventable deaths. If you have a service that is life-saving, and then you cut a life-saving service, then of course it means lives will be lost.
3 supervised consumption sites would still be operating in the city with independent funding. The Ford government has been closing those sites and funding an abstinence-based model of homelessness and addiction recovery treatment, or heart hubs.
A heads up for commuters, major traffic closures to keep in mind tomorrow, as the DVP and a large stretch of the Gardiner will be closed. The entire DVP will be shut down, as well as the Gardiner in both directions from South Kingsway to the Don Valley Parkway, starting at 2 Sunday morning. It's for the Bike for Brain Health ride to raise money for dementia research. Both highways are expected to open by 4 tomorrow afternoon. Motorists are advised to expect delays in the downtown, particularly on arterial roadways.
And it's not just closures on the roads this weekend. There are also transit disruptions to keep in mind. There is no service on the Line 2 subway between Jane and Ossington for track work. Shuttle buses are running instead, with service to resume Monday morning. Construction on GO's Lakeshore West Line this weekend means there will be no train service between Mimico and Aldershot. Buses will only serve some of the stations. And the entire Barrie-Go line is shut down this weekend. 11 stations will be out of service, including Downsview, which will impact concert goers headed to Rogers Stadium for the final Bruno Mars shows in Toronto tonight and tomorrow.
You start walking right now.
Absolutely, yeah. The good thing is, if you are starting to walk now, we have beautiful weather for it, because it has been a beautiful day today in the city, and it's shaping up to be a gorgeous weekend. Let's show you the satellite radar. Not much to show you. Yeah, clear out there, not a cloud in the sky. Temperatures at 20 degrees in London, 19 in Niagara Falls, 21 degrees in both Peterborough and Kingston. At the islands right now, still plenty of sunshine. Significantly cooler, though, 14 degrees. Pearson Airport, 19 degrees. Our overnight low tonight will be 9 degrees. That's actually cooler than normal for this time of year, which is 12 degrees. However, it'll be short-lived, because we have plenty more sunshine, not only tomorrow, but all throughout next week. All those details coming up. Well, today was the last day for Canada Post workers to vote on a new tentative agreement that could mark the end of 2 years of labor tensions, including last fall's strike. The 5-year contract offered wages increases of 6.5% in the first year and 3% in the second. About 60% of the union board endorsed the proposed collective agreement, saying it ensures job security. But the union's president asked members to reject it, arguing it rolls back rights and compensation. On Friday, Canada Post reported that it lost $205 million before taxes in the first quarter of the year. It cited reduced business, linked in part to uncertainty around its reliability during labor tensions.
Thousands took to the streets in Alberta yesterday, voicing their opposition on a number of issues, from health care to the upcoming referendum on separatism.
CTV's Kathy Lee was at one of the rally and has more on why many Albertans are frustrated with the UCP government.
Thousands of people packed downtown Edmonton, part of the Alberta Federation of Labor's province-wide day of protest, with demonstrations held in more than a dozen communities, including Calgary, where people voiced concerns about issues like stagnant wages, the cost of living, public services they say are stretched thin, and many others.
Education and health care.
To support transgender rights in this province.
The people behind me have come here to protest various different issues, but they share a common frustration with the direction of the province.
Just bad government, poor policies, not looking after the people.
A labor relations expert says it's unusual to see this many people rally around such a broad range of issues, a sign of growing frustration among some Albertans.
Thousands of people to come out in various cities around the province would be a show of strength, would be sending a message to the government and to the province. The labor movement needs to be taken seriously.
In a statement, the Alberta Jobs Ministry said healthcare, education, affordability, creating jobs, and growing the economy are all priorities, and it's demonstrated that with tangible action. Alberta's growing separation movement also loomed over the protests.
And separatists, if you're listening, this is the other Alberta, and you do not speak for us either.
While the succession debate has dominated headlines, some protesters say it's a distraction.
I am concerned that we are not discussing issues that are really important because everybody's concerned about separation.
With so many concerns on display, Albertans want the government to listen, and the large turnout shows they're not alone.
There's so many people who care,
which they say gives them hope for change. Kathy Lee, CTV News, Calgary.
A 3-day visit to Ottawa by China's foreign minister wraps up today, the first of its kind in a decade.
It comes as the Carney government looks to strengthen trade ties with non-U.S. partners amid trade tensions and 51st state comments from south of the border. The federal government has said it's aiming to increase exports to China by 50% by 2030. At the same time, ministers say that can happen while protecting the country's economic and national security interests. But former Foreign Affairs Minister Peter MacKay said the shifting messaging out of Ottawa on international trade is leaving Canadians confused. He argued an aggressive move towards China may not be in the country's interest.
It's very difficult to envision a place and a time when Canada could go all in on a trade relationship at the expense of very important Canadian values, human rights, issues that we not only hold dear in our country, but advocate for elsewhere.
The visit by Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi follows Prime Minister Mark Carney's trip to Beijing early this year. Now, he'll be back there for a summit of Pacific Rim countries in the fall.
Canada's economy is in the spotlight this weekend as it technically slips into a recession.
As officials work to stabilize trade ties with Washington, talks about North America's auto industry have become a key topic. CTV's Jeremy Chamron has the latest.
In Mexico, North America's auto sector was front and center Friday as a first round of bilateral talks between American and Mexican officials got underway.
I think it's a good barometer.
The U.S. Trade Representative's office says automotive rules of origin, steel and aluminum, and economic security were priorities in a first round of talks with Mexico. Reuters now reporting Trump's negotiating team set out clear new expectations for the auto sector, that North American vehicles would need to contain at least 50% American content, a potential window into what Canada could expect.
We've heard the president especially say he doesn't want Canadian cars. And we've heard Jamieson Greer up until last week saying, we don't see a path forward. This is a path forward.
Flavio Volpe is a longtime industry expert and a member of the Prime Minister's Advisory Committee on Canada-U.S. Economic Relations. He testified at U.S. trade hearings in December and says Canadian cars already include nearly 50% American content.
Canada is the biggest destination for American auto parts anywhere in the world, and it's not close, $29 billion of auto parts a year. And so the Americans can say that this proposal is one that supports their industry. If it happens to work for ours, it's a bonus.
A signal, perhaps, of a thaw in trade tensions on the heels of a clear message for Washington from the Prime Minister in New York this week.
Canada Strong will help make America great again.
Meanwhile, Canada's former U.S. ambassador expressed optimism the deal will remain largely intact in an interview with CTV Question Period set to air Sunday.
Where the changes will come will be modifications to that or additions to that, or, that's what this review is about.
You don't think it'll be fundamental?
I personally do not believe that the agreement will go away.
This all comes ahead of a high-stakes visit to Washington next week for Dominic LeBlanc, the minister in charge of Canada-U.S. trade, with still no sign of when official negotiations between Ottawa and Washington will get underway. Jeremy Sherrill, CTV News, Ottawa.
Now to the Middle East, where the U.S. military says it stopped a merchant vessel trying to break an American blockade of Iranian ports.
This comes the day after the U.S. president suggested the blockade of those ports would be lifted. U.S. Central Command says the military enforced blockade measures in the Gulf of Oman and disabled a Gambia-flagged maritime vessel attempting to sail toward an Iranian port on Friday. The U.S. military says it has so far disabled 5 commercial vessels and redirected more than 110 vessels since the start of a blockade of Iranian ports began last month. U.S. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth today said Washington's main goal is still ensuring Iran doesn't get a nuclear weapon.
So Iran knows very, very clearly what our expectations are, and that's on the negotiating team to deliver. They're coming in our direction. The talks have been productive. I think they know where it needs to go, and I'm quite confident with our president, who makes nothing but great deals, that ultimately it'll be something he's proud to defend, that ensures that Iran, which everyone knows should not have a nuclear weapon, never does.
But despite indications from the Trump administration that a deal could be imminent, political watchers say clear sticking points remain.
Well, it appears as though Tehran is becoming more frustrated, saying that the president is actually stalling on the deal. However, what we also continue to see, which is quite concerning, is the level of escalation, particularly from Lebanon and Israel, is also becoming increasingly problematic, given that Iran has made clear that any ceasefire will have to include Lebanon. President Donald Trump, however, continues to say that he will make a decision in his own time.
Smoke could be seen in southern Lebanon earlier today as rockets flew across the border with Israel. Yesterday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said forces had advanced to northern parts of Lebanon's Litani River as they target Iranian-backed militant group Hezbollah. Lebanese Prime Minister Nawaf Salam today said Israel was carrying out collective punishment and mass displacement of civilians. This all comes as the U.S. military hosted talks between both countries in Washington yesterday in an effort to broker peace.
Ukrainian cities are facing more Russian drone attacks this weekend as Moscow keeps up its invasion. The State Emergency Service in Ukraine's northeastern Sumy region shared this video. Local authorities say it shows civilian infrastructure, including residential and non-residential buildings, damaged in an overnight strike. No injuries were reported there as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky renewed his call for help with air defenses during the ongoing wave of Russian attacks.
This comes as NATO and the European Union condemn an incident that saw a drone crash into a building in one of Ukraine's neighboring countries, Romania. Officials there say the drone was Russian in origin and left 2 people hurt. Romania has reported several instances of drone fragments landing on its territory since the war started in 2022, but this is the first time that people have been injured.
It is the most severe incident we have seen since the start of the war. Romania has the longest border with the war, 650 kilometers, and of course we do have the Danube and the Black Sea close to it. It is important to say, though, that the mother and child are well. They have received medical care, but of course the level of worry, the level of concern is very high, not just in Galați, the city that was hit, but also across the country, and I would dare to say across Allied territory.
Foreign Affairs Minister Anita Anand had this to say, quote, Russia's reckless drone incursion into Romanian territory is unacceptable and a clear violation of NATO territory and international law. I have been in touch with my Romanian counterpart and have repeatedly emphasized that Canada stands firmly with Romania and our NATO allies in the face of Russia's continued aggression against Ukraine.
The head of the World Health Organization in the Democratic Republic of Congo today as that country grapples with the rising number of Ebola infections.
The international community is involved under the leadership of the government of DRC. And at the same time, community ownership is important. That's why we're here to discuss with the community to see how the response is running, and if there are challenges, to help.
As of today, there are more than 1,000 suspected cases in the DRC, up from approximately 900 on Thursday. The outbreak involves a rare strain of Ebola believed to have caused at least 220 deaths in eastern Congo, with Uganda and South Sudan as also impacted. This week, the Public Health Agency of Canada announced it's temporarily blocking entry for people coming from Ebola-affected countries, saying it's necessary to reduce the risk of importing the disease.
A special ceremony in Mecca today marked the end of the annual Hajj pilgrimage for Muslims. Worshippers bring an end to the Hajj by circling around a holy site known as the Kaaba. This year, over 1.5 million Muslims took part in the pilgrimage, tolerating temperatures that sometimes exceed 40 degrees Celsius.
There was an unexpected sight last night for people walking the streets of Rome. Wow. Several dozen horses went galloping more or less out of control through the streets of the Italian capital. The horses were there for rehearsals ahead of a parade next week. They're not having it, marking the 80th anniversary of the Italian Republic. Police said fireworks may have sent the horses running, but they're investigating.
Looks like medieval times. Just ahead, we now know who will take to the pitch to represent Canada at the upcoming FIFA World Cup. Details on who will be wearing the red and white just ahead.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
You know, we so easily get spoiled with the weather. It looked lovely today, and it was nice, but it was a little cool.
I guess so, yeah, but I don't want to be complaining about it.
Oh, I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining. I'm just making a point.
No, you're right. But it's funny, though, because I was in Alberta last week.
Yes.
And
how was it?
It was great. It was great. We got to go to Banff, Lake Louise, all that. But you know what? Do you do this when you're on vacation? You look at the weather in Toronto and you're comparing?
Oh, 100%.
Right?
I want to have better weather where I am.
Exactly.
Than what's, so yeah, of course.
And it started out because I know there was some rainy, cloudy weather last week.
Yes.
And then earlier this week, it was like nothing but sunshine, and I'm like, I should have picked a different day. I'm not getting most of it.
Well, how was the weather in Banff?
It was nice. It's always cooler by the mountains, but I'm a light sweater kind of guy, so I like it, yeah.
So your whole wardrobe had to change?
100%. You know me. I bring 4 seasons in a suitcase. Check everything. Let's talk about the weather. Temperatures right now, shall we? 21 degrees in Muskoka, 19 degrees in Toronto, and 27 degrees up in Red Lake. Look at that. All right, here are our lows for tonight. I mentioned earlier that we are slightly below normal for this time of year. 9 degrees is our low. Normal for this time of year is 12. I actually prefer the 9, so we'll take it. As we wake up, we start to warm up. 11 degrees by 7 a.m., 14 by 9 a.m. And take a look. Right now, that UV index is at 4 by 9 a.m. It is going to creep up even higher because our high for tomorrow is 25 degrees. That is more than what we are expecting for this time of year. So plenty of sunshine tomorrow, and that UV index creeps all the way up into that very high territory. That's between 8 and 10. So very high. If you're outside, make sure you wear some hats, sunscreen, stay hydrated, and find cool places if you are able to. Cycling forecast. We know tomorrow, a big day tomorrow for the Bike for Brain Health. Yes, there are some road closures because of it, but it certainly is an incredible cause. And so beautiful cycling weather. By 12 p.m., 21 degrees and a very light wind. And by 4 p.m., which is when the DVP and Gardner should be reopening, we still continue to climb from a temperature perspective at 25 degrees. Let's take a look at your 7-day forecast, and pretty consistent temperatures right across the board. We've talked about Sunday. Monday, we welcome June with 22 degrees and 12, 11, 15, 16 for those overnight lows. So that's right around where we should be for this time of year. And it doesn't look like we could get any precipitation until next Friday and Saturday. So yes, we love the sunshine, but we do need precipitation and some rain in the forecast for these summer months. But we'll have to likely wait until next weekend. Andrea.
Thanks, Raheem. An annual fundraiser for the University Health Network took over city streets today. Around 5,000 participants walked to raise funds for patient care and cancer research. The event includes a 2-kilometer and 5-kilometer route. The walk began at Toronto General Hospital and wrapped up at Toronto Western Hospital.
Philanthropy makes the difference between quality and excellence in healthcare. It provides funding for innovation. It provides seed funding for research that allows us to be able to obtain grants and supporting our research. So really, if you think about it, philanthropy, it brings excellence in our clinical care and education, but it also helps us to cure disease.
More than $1 million has already been raised for this year's walk.
A total of $1.3 million was raised today at what's billed as the country's largest cricket fundraiser. Hundreds of cricket enthusiasts took over Mississauga's Celebration Square today, raising money and awareness for the Princess Margaret Cancer Centre. More than 50 teams took part in the day-long event. Organizers say they're tapping into cricket's growing popularity in the GTA to support the cause.
We're taking the sport of cricket, which is the second fastest growing sport in Canada. We're combining it with cancer, which sadly is the #1 disease affecting Canadians. And then we're inspiring people to fundraise to help make sure we change the outcomes for people who are diagnosed with cancer in the future. We, at Princess Margaret, we're trying to create a world free from the fear of cancer.
This is just the second year for the Princess Margaret Cricket fundraiser, and already they're accepting team applications for next year's event.
Well, the Blue Jays are looking to extend their win streak to 5 games, taking on the Orioles in Baltimore this afternoon.
It's this to deep center. Tavares still going back off his glove. Guerrero around third, and he will come in to score to tie the ball game.
Trailing 1-0, the Jays got on the board with back-to-back runs in the 4th inning. They would then add to their lead in the 8th with 2 more, and that's where the game currently stands, with Toronto up 4-1. In the top of the 9th, the 2 teams will wrap up their series tomorrow afternoon.
On the court, the Tempo were going for a second straight win, hosting the Seattle Storm this afternoon.
Saves it, finds Rice into the paint, kicks it out, Condé.
These games have been exciting. The Tempo held a tight 1-point lead heading into the second half, where they pulled away, outscoring the Storm 33-20 in the third quarter, on their way to a 93-72 win. Ooh, they dominated. It's their second win against Seattle this season. Toronto will now head to New York for a matchup with the Liberty on Wednesday.
You should just play them all the time.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, there you go. And we're just 2 weeks away from Canada kicking off the FIFA World Cup in our city, and we now know who will be wearing the red and white.
CTV's Heather Wright has more on who made the cut and the questions surrounding injuries within this squad.
A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to play for Canada in Canada at a World Cup. 26 men named to Canada's roster tonight. 3 keepers, 9 defenders, 10 midfielders, and 4 strikers. The best squad, according to coach Jesse Marsh, this country has ever fielded.
We have really our best group of 26 players that this country has ever assembled at any one time. And of course, are all of them right now at full 100%? No, but they're close, and we're excited about this team.
Injuries have been a major factor for this team, with some of Canada's top players dealing with everything from broken bones to hamstring strains.
Steps inside, is put in by Schaffelberg!
Among those trying to battle back from injury, Jacob Schaffelberg, who had a breakout tournament at Copa America, crediting his hometown of Port Williams, Nova Scotia, with getting him here.
It takes a village to raise someone, so I think that every single person in that village did their part to help me get to where I am today.
The biggest injury question mark hangs over team captain Alphonso Davies, who injured his hamstring earlier this month. Marsh says the roster was picked with injuries in mind, but also with the anticipation that even if not everyone is ready for the opening match against Bosnia and Herzegovina, they will be for Game 2 against Qatar.
Everyone should be prepared to be ready to perform around the Bosnia match, and then certainly in the week in the lead up to the Qatar match should be ready to go.
3 keepers were named to this squad: Dane St. Clair, Maxime Crépeau, and Owen Goodman, though we still don't know who will earn the top job.
We're both mature enough to understand our role for the team. Whatever the decision is, we understand that we'll be here for one another and for the team on and off the field.
And this team will play 2 friendlies before the World Cup officially gets underway. Uzbekistan on Monday, Ireland next Friday, with Canada opening its tournament here at Toronto Stadium on June 12th. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
Making art from junk, we introduce you to a man turning discarded objects into creative characters. That story when we return.
Tonight, shifting gears on tariff relief.
Very steep departure from we don't want cars from Canada.
Trump's new position on car manufacturing and what it means for Canada. Later on CTV National News and Watch on Crave.
U.S. President Donald Trump has suffered another legal setback, this one related to his push to add his own name to the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts in Washington, D.C. On Friday, a U.S. district judge directed the administration to remove all physical signage bearing Trump's name from the building and eliminate all references to the Trump Kennedy Center within 14 days. After naming himself chair, the board had voted to rename the facility to include Trump. However, the judge ruled that the original statute passed by Congress is that the building is to be named for President Kennedy only. Trump took to social media to criticize the decision.
A Vancouver artist is looking beyond his medical condition, which could cause future blindness, to realize his own artistic vision.
He's bringing creative characters to life, all made out of junk people have thrown away. CTV's Adam Sawatsky has his story.
Well, he regularly rummages round the back of thrift stores looking for random things.
The worse condition, almost the better.
What Ian Baker is specifically searching for is inspiration.
It's almost a little bit exciting because I know that there's potential for this item.
Although this basement is full of his finds, Ian never has a plan for the pieces.
And you just start grabbing some parts and see what fits together.
And even though none of them were designed to align, Ian can always find a creative way to connect them.
It's just like playing, basically.
And once Ian adds the eyes,
a lot of them have little souls.
They seem to come to life.
It's a joy. You just feel like you've almost birthed something.
And like the pride parents feel for their children, Ian can boast that his creations have grown up to become airplane pilots, race car drivers, musicians, and baseball players.
It's always cool to bring them together, you know, it's almost like a family.
And like a family, when one member's life takes an unexpected turn.
It's funny that I have all these eyeballs around me.
Like when Ian suddenly started losing his vision.
It's scary, you know, it's like having the rug pulled out from underneath you.
These unexpected family members seem to rally to support him.
I'd force myself to get down into the shop and see what happens. And just about every time it would pull me out of that sort of dark state and gets you in a place where things become purposeful again, you know?
And like Ian showed the discarded a dynamic new way to be, they've shown him that despite deteriorating sight, there's still so much positivity to see.
It forces you to sort of look at what you have as opposed to what you don't have.
And one of the things Ian has is the ability to turn junk destined for the landfill into characters who remind us just how whimsical our world can be.
I guess it's just a deeper appreciation for what we have. We're so fortunate.
Adam Sawatsky, CTV News.
Hey, everybody. Who doesn't love a great comeback story? Brendan Fraser was gone for a long time, then he came back. He did The Whale, won an Academy Award, and now he has a film called Pressure. Richard Krause joins us now. And Richard, thumbs up, thumbs down? What do you think? Is this worth going back to Brendan Fraser well?
Yeah, listen, he is a really interesting actor because he did those broad comedies earlier on in his career. Then he made the Mummy movies and became an action star. But lately, in his comeback, he has become this guy who really shows a great deal of vulnerability in performances, like in The Whale and that kind of thing. It's a much different kind of vibe that we've gotten from him. Now he plays Eisenhower in Pressure. He plays the supreme commander of the Allied forces in the 72 hours leading up to D-Day. And there are some big decisions to be made, mostly concerning the weather. They have a meteorologist who came in and said, listen, the weather here in this part of the world is unpredictable, and I know that the weather charts don't really look like they're indicating that these two big storms are coming, but trust me, they're coming. And no one believed him up until the last minute. And so it's kind of an interesting cat and mouse game. It is a slice of history. I think Brendan Fraser is a little bit miscast in this because he is a powerful actor, but he doesn't really bring that to Eisenhower. On the other hand, Andrew Scott, who plays Stagg the meteorologist, fantastic. So Pressure, if you're a World War II, fan and want to learn more about, I think, a probably little-known story, Pressure might just be for you.
You know, old weatherman Dave Duvall here, he was in the Canadian Armed Forces, and that's how he learned to be a meteorologist. So the meteorologists in the military are very important. Okay, let's move on. So Tooner was at TIFF this year, and when Dustin Hoffman and Leo Woodall were on the red carpet, there was a bit of a dust-up on the red carpet with the media because people were pushing and shoving and not being very nice. Not us, of course, but the Americans. I say all that to say, I didn't see Tooner when it was here at TIFF. Should I see it now, Richard?
You should. This is a really interesting kind of mix of a crime drama and a rom-com. So you have Leo Woodall playing a person who has a skill as a piano player. He was a virtuoso piano player, but he also has a disease that makes him hypersensitive to sound. So he has to wear headphones and earplugs everywhere he goes. He can no longer play piano in a concert setting. So he now tunes pianos, and his mentor is played by Dustin Hoffman. When Dustin Hoffman's character falls ill, they need money, and Leo Woodall says, well, my hearing is very good, and you know another way to make money other than piano tuning? Safe cracking. And so he becomes a safe cracker with some kind of unsavory types to raise money, and along the way meets a woman who kind of makes him see the error of his ways. And this is a really cool movie that takes these two genres, and they very much are both on display here, the crime genre and the rom-com, and kind of mixes them together and comes up with something new and kind of fresh and kind of lovely. It's called Tooner, and it's in theaters this weekend.
Okay, real quick, Backrooms. Chiwetel Ejiofor, I really like this guy as an actor. And Renate Reinsve, she was an Academy Award nominee this year. Tell us about Backrooms, real quick, Richard.
Well, here's the thing. You can't discuss this one quickly.
Okay, we'll save that for 11:30 then. We'll save it for 11:30. Well, okay, I promise. Okay, that's a tease, folks. Tonight, 11:30, Richard will talk about Backrooms with two actors who are extremely well established and well lauded. So, Richard, come back at 11:30.
See you then.
I'll be watching. I want to see that. Still ahead, a race to put together all the pieces. The Canadian Jigsaw Puzzle Championships descend on Georgetown this weekend. We'll take you there when we return. It is a race against the clock in Georgetown this weekend as competitors race to piece together jigsaw puzzles.
CTV's Carol Charles caught up with some puzzle enthusiasts competing at the Canadian Championship.
3, 2, 1, puzzle. Most people think of puzzles as a quiet night at home, but here it's all about speed. Yes! Welcome to the world of speed puzzling, where competitors race against the clock to finish a jigsaw puzzle as fast as possible.
Woo! That's it.
Nicole Bertrand just finished her individual round of competition and is moving on to pair up with her partner, Debbie Hawkins. The duo are waiting for their team match. They flew in from BC to compete. The key to their success?
Deb is phenomenal at sorting and doing small projects. So she does that, and then I kind of look at the whole puzzle and I put together the whole puzzle.
And if you want to win,
you got to have fast hands. Like, you have to keep moving.
Tables full of mixed up pieces, timers counting down, and teams locked in. Players say it's important to keep focus and have a game plan. Ontario native Alison Elgersma is ranked in the top 20 across Canada.
My personal strategy is I love to dump out all my pieces, flip them over, and start with the edge to kind of give myself a little bit of something to start with. Once I have that, then I love to pull a bright, big project that I can pull out of my pieces and get that underway.
First-time competitor Sherry Healy is a little nervous.
I am really excited, but also a little bit stressed, and I'm not sure how I'm going to do, but I'm really optimistic, and I'm hoping that I can complete the puzzle within the time.
What started as a family pastime is now turning into a competitive trend, with tournaments popping up across North America. Just over 900 competitors are on hand today, the event organized by the Canadian Jigsaw Puzzle Association.
It's not just about competition. It's not just about speed. It is about bringing everybody together around puzzles. And we also run social activities. This is for everybody. You can always find somebody to connect with in the puzzle community. We have kids who are 11 years old participating today, up to 80 years old, all walks of life, all jobs. It's a fantastic community.
The competition wraps up on Sunday. The public is invited to watch the action at the Mole Masters Sportsplex in Georgetown. Carol Charles, CTV News.
That is impressive.
Can you put money on that?
Can you bet on it?
Yeah.
I'm sure somewhere you can.
That looks
but,
good. I'm into that.
Oh my
I like
goodness.
it. All right, let's take a look outside.
Don't do it,
It's not puzzle weather, though. It's get outside and go for a walk weather, right? Look at that beautiful shot right there of our city. Taking a look at the current temperatures, 20 degrees in London, 19 in Niagara Falls. Here is your tomorrow at a glance. Another beautiful day, 25 degrees and sunny. Keep in mind that UV index is at 8, so lather up if you're heading outside. And a quick look at your 7-day forecast. We will say hello to June on Monday, yeah, and beautiful temperatures, mid-20s all week, 28 by next Friday, wow. And that's when we do get some potential showers, which we need, yeah, which is quite all right. And those overnight lows, very comfortable. Andrea.
Thanks, Raheem. Be sure to join us tonight at 11, CTV National News with Heather Butts, followed by our next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and online at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For all the hardworking people in front of and behind the camera, thanks for watching. Have a good night. I'm Andrea Case.
And I'm Raheem Adams.